Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Force 13's live events, of course. And there's probably a limited amount of episodes of those. And tonight we're, of course, discussing the latest tropical weather situation and also possibly the severe weather situation in the US as well. But tropical weather is our main priority, as it always is on Force 13. And, of course, what we have active right now is Tropical Storm Carlos in the Eastern Pacific. We expect the next bulletin will come out with winds still of 60 miles per hour, and at the moment it's fairly stationary out in the Eastern Pacific, south of Mexico, where we have some tropical storm watches in effect. We may be having some people dropping in and out with myself this evening. I'm Nathan Foy. This evening we're joined by Daniel. Hi Daniel, how are you? He's always here.
I'm good.
Very good. We're also joined by Marcel. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, and I think we will have, well, Craig's trying to get on here this evening, but I think he's having a bit of difficulty. He's apparently here, but we don't have any voice or video, so let's go straight to it then with the latest satellite imagery of Carlos, and there it is. You can see the storm itself, center of the storm around here, and some bits associated thunderstorms and heavy rain, some of it impacting the coast of Mexico, but not that much. Let's look at the latest National Hurricane Center. Actually, let me first point out this little area here that's popped up in the last few hours. An area of interest, low chance of development in the next 5 days, so I don't think that will develop into anything, but it's something to keep an eye on off the coast of Belize. Eastern Pacific then, Carlos, the only thing going on right now. Blanca's long gone, of course. This is the track map from the National Hurricane Center. I think they're going to go out with another update towards the end of this show. Northwestward movement to begin with, and almost for its whole duration actually, sort of loosely following the coast of Mexico. You can see the little yellow marker there showing where we have tropical storm watches in effect, and let me just confirm what area that actually is. Yes, still the same as it is when we did the last update. There's tropical storm watch in effect for Acapulco to Zihuatanejo, I think. Zihuatanejo. I've no idea what the pronunciations of whatever language is presented in front of me. Spanish, English, Chinese, who knows. But there you are. Tropical storm watch is in effect for those areas. And I expect that they will be extended possibly towards the northwest, or indeed upgraded if the storm draws closer to land. Tropical storm watch, of course, meaning the tropical storm conditions possible within the watch area within 36 to 48 hours, so that's a day and a half to 2 days. Looking at its extended track forecast, you can see day 5 by Wednesday. We expect it to be here as a tropical storm and could also, like Blanca, approach the Baja California Peninsula, much like Blanca did, of course. Obviously not as strong by the looks of things. We expect the storm to peak as a weak hurricane Category 1 by the looks of things. Marcel, Daniel, anything to add?
Currently not.
Currently not. That's fine. I would just like to give you a little bit of airtime if you want it. Rather than me yabbering on the whole time. Sorry?
True.
Okay. Oh, what? Maybe not. Let me point out what else is going on. The remnants of Ashobar, I think they are still going just about. Very weak, just I expect some rainfall occurring over Oman.
Yeah, Nathan?
Yes.
Tropic.6.estadillo says that Asher was still dissipated. I'm not sure whether it's right or not, but it says it.
Dissipation doesn't necessarily mean it's completely gone. The remnants.
Yeah, it's really completely gone from the map, for the tracking map, let's say.
Yes, it's gone from the tracking map because it's not a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but satellite imagery still shows what's left of it, which isn't much.
And how much is left of it?
Of Oman. That's Carlos. This is Invest 90W, and there isn't really much of that at this time. It's a very low latitude, around 5 degrees north, in between. Pardon me. In between Chuck and Yap in Micronesia.
There was one in the Atlantic, wasn't there?
If I don't choke to death. Yeah, I just mentioned that before, an area of interest,
Alright.
which isn't actually an invest or anything like that. It's actually a pretty quiet tropical region. The West Pacific isn't doing anything. The Atlantic, of course, Devon likes to call it a perpetual graveyard usually. I'm not sure if he'll be coming on the show at some point. We may also be seeing Michael later on. But the reason we've done it at this time in particular is because the next update from... Yes.
We had 2 hurricanes after another. They can't just form 50,000 hurricanes after another.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Sorry?
I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying we're having a bit of a quiet period in these few days, you know?
How long is this going on for, the
Sorry for this.
show?
Oh, we're on for an hour, as we quite often are. If you have any comments for us, by the way, please send us a message on the YouTube page, and as soon as I see it, I'll reply to it. Don't forget, we have a short delay on the Hangout, so I'm probably speaking from your perspective a minute in the future. If that makes any sense. So, now that we've looked at that, let's take a look at what's going on in terms of severe weather right now in the US, which isn't really my as much of my speciality. But look at this: tornado watches in effect for significant amounts of areas over large parts of New York State. There's actually a tornado warning in effect for one of those counties. I'll look into that in a moment. We also have a tornado watch in effect for western parts of Texas, just about encroaching into the state of New Mexico as well. So let me take a look at this tornado warning, if I can. Oh, it's not showing up on there. But for those of you who are familiar with the area, there we are, the tornado warning south of Syracuse. And I expect that's moving towards the east, probably. They usually do. So tornado warning in effect for that area. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for significant, for several other areas as well, small parts of New York State, as well as what appears to be Ohio as well. Severe thunderstorm watches in effect for that whole wider region too. Not quite where Devon is over in eastern Pennsylvania, so that's good news for him so far. I'm sure if there was something going on near his place, then he'd be on here to let us know, if he wasn't hiding in a basement somewhere, hey. But all those flash flood watches we had in effect for large parts of central US, they're not really in effect anymore, apart from a small part of Colorado, Utah, and in northern Texas, Oklahoma, and whichever state's north of that, Kansas.
Didn't you say you wanted to speak to people who'd actually been in hurricanes as part of the new Hurricane Week thing in September?
Oh, well, that's something to discuss a little bit later on in the show, Daniel, so everyone stay tuned for that. Hurricane Week, if you're unaware, is a feature that we're doing at the end of the year. We're doing it in November, Hurricane Week 2015. We didn't do one in 2014, but we did one in 2013 and 2012. So we're doing it again this year in 2015. The feature we're covering, we're doing a countdown of the top 100 Category 5 storms ever. And what we're looking for right now, ideally, is anyone who is who either has experienced one of these storms, directly or indirectly or whatever, or someone who knows a lot about that storm to provide a little bit of narration, or maybe an opinion piece about that actual storm and what it did. There are lots to choose from in that top 100. If you'd like more details, then please contact us. Many more things to do with that coming up as well, but I don't want to give too much away at this time. So, Daniel, How's it going over there? How's the weather?
It's warm.
Warm. It's been warm here today, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's peaked at 25, hasn't it?
It's been the warmest day of the year so far here in the UK.
Yeah.
Well, warmest day of the year at
You shut up,
HQ, where temperatures here reached 26.6 degrees Celsius, which is 79.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Might not sound much to some people, like Marcel over there, but for UK standards, our average high is 19, so it's
34 degrees.
Yeah.
Jeez.
93 degrees Fahrenheit in Austria today. I
In
almost said
Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, you caught it. So, yeah, pretty eventful. Is it usually that hot there?
In Austria?
Yeah.
Like 29 degrees, actually.
Around 29. All right. Let me take a look and see if there's any comments. If not, we'll go straight to the models. Which, oh yes, we do. Steve says, Force 13 is wearing glasses. That's an interesting comment. I'm usually always wearing glasses, aren't I? So
I wear glasses, but I don't wear them on the show.
right. So why is that?
Don't know.
You don't know. Okay, let's take a look at the models then. So first of all, we've got the CMC, which the Canadians, they usually predict something quite aggressive. So let's see what they think of Carlos. There's Carlos, located on the map. And slight movement to the east, actually, in the next 18 hours. And then it will stall again, and then gradually move towards the coast of Mexico without really going anywhere. And by hour 60, which is what, 2.5 days, it's gone. Nothing left of it. And then, shortly after that, day 3, you can see a little system here in the Gulf of Mexico, which may well become a tropical storm and make landfall in Texas. That's looking rather interesting, and that's only 4 days from now. So that is something really interesting to watch in the next few days. And you can see it being swept away towards the northeast there as we go towards day 7. It is the CMC though, so I want to see 1 or 2 others saying the same thing first before I come to any conclusions. Here's the ECMWF model, the European model, showing again Carlos here and possibly slight movement to the east in the first 24 hours, and then quite decidedly towards the northwest, pretty much following the NHC, and by day 5 it seems to be a very compact system, passing the Baja California Peninsula and eventually moving up towards the northeast there, nothing in the Atlantic. GFDL should also show us something, showing Carlos. Actually, that first frame showing a hurricane, I'm not sure about that. But then it appears to be fairly weak. It's hugging the coast of Mexico and then eventually sweeps inland and gets and dissipates. So that's the FDL's take. GFS model. See what that says. There it is again, Carlos. So not much movement, and then again here. 3 days out, you can see that little system in the Atlantic, and this time I think I can directly attribute that to the current 10% chance in the next 5 days that the NHC is coming out with, developing into that thing here off the other side of the Yucatan Peninsula. And then does it develop? Not much, but possibly enough to become a TD, who knows. So a little inkling there from the GFS model. Carlos goes by
Nathan.
well. Yes. Yes, I can't hear you, Daniel. Oh, he's muted himself. Well, that's not very helpful.
Do you have a mosquito in the room with you?
No.
I can hear like a little whining noise.
A whining noise.
It's your microphone, isn't it?
Oh, it usually is. This has
Yeah.
been a problem that's been plaguing the microphone recently. I've no idea how to solve that problem, really, without switching to my webcam. Please tell me if it's bad. The HWRF model. Here it is. Storm not moving much to begin with, but then moving towards the northwest. Pretty much what the NHC is predicting. And again, you can see that Atlantic system on the HWRF model as well. Carlos becoming very compact by day 4. And then it moves towards the north, very close to the coast of Mexico. It's like a mini, tiny storm, isn't it? Remarkable. And that system in the Atlantic, possibly a tropical storm landfall in Texas again. So that's 3 models suggesting something more than nothing. So that's rather interesting now, isn't it? And finally, the NavGen model. Again, showing Carlos stalling and then moving again, by the looks of things, towards the northwest. A little bit more slowly moving than what the NHC say, nothing in the Atlantic. So it's sort of like a 50-50 split at the moment between the models, or whether we see something in the Atlantic or not. Now let's take a look at the next set imagery, and I can show you what's going on in the Atlantic. First of all, there's this little interesting system here. I don't think that'll become anything, but one of the models might have been developing that. I don't see it personally. But what the NHC are looking at right now, down here, is this system here in the Gulf of not in the Gulf of Mexico, but in the western part of the Caribbean Sea, off the coast of Belize. This is the system that the NHC think might move towards the northwest over the Yucatan Peninsula and then out into the Gulf of Mexico. And what appears that 3 of the models are developing to some degree or other. So I guess we'll keep eyes on that one, won't we, Daniel? I believe we're also joined by Dowell. I don't know whether they want to talk or not, but please let me know.
Yeah, he said he's just there to watch.
Okay, cool. So here's, yeah, that's the image there. So yeah, Carlos, 60 miles per hour, and if Marcel wants to talk about something, I'll throw it back to him. Or perhaps not. Is Marcel frozen in time? I believe he might be. Any comments during the show, please let us know. And if you'd like to send us a message outside of this Hangout, then please do. You can send us a message directly to my email address, force-13, the number 13, @hotmail.co.uk. Or you can contact us on Facebook and Twitter. Search Force13 on there, @Force13 on Twitter, all in text. Or you can add me on Skype, @Fool13.
You can also find... Oh, sorry, were you saying something, man?
No, go ahead.
Alright. The Force13 wiki, it's a fan-run wiki. You can find it at force-13.wiki.com.
Actually, you can't just kill CS.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Daniel seems to have some visitors at the moment. Marcel, are you with us?
Yeah, I am.
Any observations about what you've just seen? I know you weren't there the whole time.
No, actually not. So.
A few of the models predicting a possible storm affecting Texas.
Yes, and, perfectly.
Darrell asks a question. Sorry, not Dowell. Martinez asked the question, where in Texas is the model predicting that disturbance? Texas has already suffered way too much rain the last month. Well, I'll show you again on the model here. So this is the CMC, first of all, the first one that predicted something making landfall in Texas. Now, by the looks of things there, it's not too far from the border with Louisiana. And forgive me, I'm not completely... aware with the geography in the area because there's not been a storm there for quite some time. So yeah, not too far from Galveston and Houston actually, where that storm is expected to make landfall according to the CMC only. But let's take a look at the other ones that predicted it as well. GFS predicted something really small, not much, but let's go through it again. GFS, just going through it here. Yeah, predicting something much more further south. So a landfall appears to be very near the southern part of Texas, what appears to be the area just south of Corpus Christi, probably. Maybe in between there and Brownsville. And the HWRF model also predicted something a little bit more towards a tropical storm. There it is, moving towards the north there, and finally predicting a landfall right in the middle there, so in between Corpus Christi and Freeport, I guess. So anyone's guess, I suppose, at the moment, and it's not only anyone's guess where it will land, but whether it will land at all and whether it will be a tropical storm or not. Craig, are you here? Are you alive?
Oh, Nathan.
Oh, hi, Craig. You're completely shrouded in darkness.
Yeah. Let some light.
Blimey. I didn't know it could be so dark over there. It's still pretty light over here. But there we are.
It's still over here.
Yeah. Marcel, I was just... were you showing us a page before?
You mean that with the shout.northschool.net?
Craig's turned a light on. Craig, did you pick up on what I've just been talking about? Three of the models predicting something in the Atlantic, two of them predicting what I interpret to be a tropical storm landfall in Texas. And of course, Carlos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How many cyclones have hit Texas before?
Whatever.
Well,
You're going to have to get me pulling out the archives now, Daniel. I've actually, sad as I am, I've actually made a record of that. It was actually when I was working on Hurricane Week 2013. I can tell you that from 1960 to 2013, so about like 53-year record, there have been 40 landfalls in Texas, 40, 25 tropical storms, 7 Category 1s, 2 Category 2s, 3 Category 3s, and 3 Category 4 storms, no Cat 5s. Go on.
I didn't know they hit Texas.
Yeah, of course. They do.
Must be a bit dim.
Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and all along the East Coast.
Oh, right. Obviously, it's coastal areas.
Well, not necessarily obvious, because the West Coast never gets any tropical storms. I mean, it's a 1 in 100-year occurrence to hit California.
Why did the Russian reply to Bob?
There you are. Craig, what do you think about that?
Yes.
You're usually talkative.
I know, but I don't actually supply for one anything new because probably so I've had all the PC trying to into that,
Yeah.
You've covered it in it like
I think we're still having a bit of technical difficulties now, unfortunately, with your connection, Craig, but it's just about half and half bearable. So, looking into the world of storms, and I always like to be a little bit analytical. I look at stats quite often and see how we're doing this year. So, for this time of year, we've already reached 33 tropical storms that have formed around the world, which is higher than most other seasons ever. The only one that I found that it isn't as high as is the year 1985, which had 35 storms worldwide by this day. But in terms of actual hurricanes, 20, major hurricanes, 14, 6 Category 5 storms by this calendar day, this year. It's mind-boggling and unprecedented, really. 1992, a record breaker in actual storms, only had 26 by this date. 1996, that came second place, only had 28 on this date. And majors, nowhere near, some of them less than half of what we're seeing today. But there we are. And if Carlos becomes a hurricane, it'll be number 21. Puts it well ahead of any other year that I've been observing. Martinez says Allison 2.0. Well, I'm not sure about that, Martinez, because Allison did stall for a while, and it dumped a hell of a lot of rain, of course. The only tropical storm ever to be retired. I don't think what may become Bill, I don't think it will stall as much as Anna did, and I think it will move through more quickly. But then again, I suppose I'm not bearing into mind what the conditions have been recently in Texas. I believe there's been a lot of rainfall there, and in that whole region. So.
What place is the name Wanda in the current naming list? Out of
Wanda?
interest. Yeah, Wanda.
Well, what do you mean?
There's like a naming list. Do they have any particular order, or do they just choose at random?
No, they do it alphabetically.
Alright.
In the Atlantic and the East Pacific, they do it alphabetically. In the West Pacific, there is some sort of order, but I can't remember exactly what. I think they go by which country sent in the name.
Yeah.
You get them all over the alphabet over there. Didn't used to be like that until the year 2000. JTWC, I think, or was that till the 80s, something like that. But until 2000, they used English names, and they went from A to Z.
Alright.
I mean, I don't mind them not using English names, but I think it would make more sense to go from A to Z, don't you?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. I'm just choosing randomly.
Well, it's probably not necessarily random, but, you know, I think the best kind of order is to have it alphabetically. But then again, I don't know much about the Asian language. The Asian language might have different alphabets or whatever. I don't know. There we are. Any questions for us here on Forbes 13 Live? Then you're more than welcome to get in touch on the video page right now. Is there anything that anyone would like to talk about, or any points to raise, or?
Probably not.
Not at the moment. Marcel's looking at an image there. Let me get some floater imagery up, actually, and we'll also take a look at the sea surface temperatures and the wind shear and all that jazz. So here's an animated GIF visible. How the storm's been progressing in those last few frames, and I'm not so sure whether it actually is as stationary as they make out, because I don't know. I think it might be slight northward movement. It's very slow, but slight northward movement by the looks of things to me. Let me remind you, tropical storm watch in effect for a small chunk of Mexico, from Acapulco to that place beginning with Z that I can't pronounce. And we'll just leave you with Marcel's imagery whilst I load up the sea surface temperatures as well. If it doesn't crash my PC. Hopefully. Yes, Craig.
Is it according to the NAC? It's Carlos is nearly stationary.
Oh yes, they were saying
Yeah, he picked up a neg at the prick and tried killing me with it.
No, has done a blanket and went and stalled.
Yeah.
So that's what the NAC said.
Okay, so here's the sea surface temperatures right now. So where Carlos is, 30-degree waters generally, very warm indeed. Much less towards the northwest, half in part due to Blanca. Looking at the Atlantic, and we might have to look at that very soon, off the coast of Belize, around 28 degrees C. Opposite side of the Yucatan, 28 or slightly less. A little cool spot just north of that peninsula there. But in the western part of the Gulf, the northern part of the Gulf, much warmer, 30-degree temperatures hugging the coast of Texas, Louisiana, and perhaps Mississippi as well. Along the coast of Florida, fairly warm here too. So there's the Atlantic. North Indian, Now, there were little rumblings of a new storm there soon. Look at how it's cooled the waters significantly around where Ashobar was not so long ago. But the models were predicting a possible new storm forming around here. I'll chase that one up in a moment and see whether that's still the case, what the models are saying. West Pacific, fairly warm, around 30 degrees, especially in the South China Sea, 32 in some areas, just off the coast of the Philippines in particular. Out in the open waters, not quite as warm, but still it's more than enough to support tropical cyclone development, 28 degrees or higher. Back to Marcel's screen, and maybe Craig's voice if you want to talk. Whilst I look up the Indian Ocean and see whether we've got anything going on there. Taking a little moment.
Is there any news on 90W?
90W, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, it's fairly weak. I'm not really expecting great things from it, to be honest. But we can take a look at what the models say right now for this area. North Indian Ocean and the West Pacific, you can see here on the map. Let's see if we can see anything of note. Ashobar no longer with us, pretty much. So we're watching this area as possible development. The latest model run showing virtually nothing, isn't it? Yeah, nothing in the next 10 days, according to that latest run. We can also see what might be 90W here, but again, that one doesn't develop at all. Low pressure system over the Micronesian Islands and Palau, but nothing at all. So, looking very quiet over there. Marcel's showing us a map of the wind speed probabilities in the next 5 days. Tropical storm force winds, showing how it's rather likely along that whole chunk of Mexican coastline. Image not ready. Oh, there we are. Oh, maybe not. But yes, certainly a probability for tropical storm force winds along the coast, and that probably means we'll be seeing many more tropical storm watches and warnings over the next few days indeed. The next National Hurricane Center update won't be too far away, I imagine, before the end of the show, I expect. And as soon as the news comes out, if it hasn't already, which I think it might have actually, let's have a look. Is that the same? Oh no, that's still before. So 4 p.m. CDT we're looking for the next update, which may or may not come out before we're done here. Let's go back to the severe weather situation in the US. We had a tornado warning in effect for part of for an area in New York State. That's now no longer in effect, but instead we have a tornado warning in southeastern Kansas. I'm not sure whether that's the only place where we have a warning. Yes, it is. Oh, that's referring to the New York one, which apparently is no longer there. It's a bit confusing, isn't it, when one says it is and one says it isn't. I don't know which one to trust. But I suppose in both those areas, expect possible tornadoes and severe weather. Tornado watch, of course, is what to really watch out for in effect for this whole part of eastern Texas. Western Texas, far eastern New Mexico, and tornado watch also in effect for a large chunk of New York State, and severe thunderstorm watches in effect for large parts of Ohio, into Pennsylvania and New York again, with some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for northern parts of Pennsylvania and 1 or 2 areas in eastern parts of Ohio as well. So it's an interesting day from a storm tracker's perspective, but of course, hopefully it will go by without any destruction, as we say. So there we are. And what's that in Louisiana and Texas. Is that a coastal flood advisory that they've issued there? Or? Yes, it is. So along that whole area, I don't know whether that's in relation to that system off the coast, but interesting nonetheless. But there we are. Any questions for us, please send them in. And Marcel's showing the possibility of tornadoes. But yeah, I think we've covered pretty much all bases at this point because we've gone through all... let's go to the wind shear map, actually, which I'll just get up here. Looking here at the East Pacific, so... shouldn't do that, actually. You can see it here on the... you can see Carlos, marked by the tropical storm icon, of course. Low amounts of wind shear to the east, and it appears to be increasing ever so slightly to the west and northwest of the storm, very slightly. And that's obviously not good news. Moderate amounts it appears to be already, and that could possibly interfere with any further development. So looking at that alone, I expect that minimal hurricane is perhaps the highest it could hope for, unless the wind shear abates some more. Look at the amount of wind shear in the Gulf of Mexico, though. Huge amounts at this time. So, I mean, looking at that right now, it would surprise me to see any Atlantic development, but things can change. And it is on a very slow declining trend at the moment, going down by around 5 or less in the last 6 hours. I assume it's 6 hours anyway. But yeah, a lot of the Atlantic has high amounts of wind shear, but nice little area here with low amounts, a small area here. You really not very large parts of the low wind shear in the Atlantic. Looking at the West Pacific, just out of curiosity, well, look at that. Huge amounts of very low wind shear here. But I wonder whether there might be lots of dry air in that area or not. We'll look at that in a moment too. Indian Ocean, should we see any more storms? Huge amounts of wind shear over the whole ocean, really, apart from the very northern part of the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, and I don't think we'll be seeing storms developing there. Going through to the water vapor, you can see how it's looking down the Atlantic, and it's sort of a very moist environment on the whole, really, stretching from Carlos all the way to Cuba and beyond. Thunderstorms popping up over Florida. That little system there in the Gulf of Mexico, though it is surrounded by dry air to the west, producing some thunderstorms here and there in the southern Gulf states there as well. A little cyclonic feature here too out in the open Atlantic. But nothing really of a tropical nature. Looking at the East Pacific in particular, in focus, dry air way towards the northwest, but around Carlos itself not looking too bad. West Pacific, oh, clicked the wrong one. Well, there's the Indian Ocean. And the West Pacific, a fairly moist environment actually. 1 or 2 little pockets of drier air. Look how moist it is over towards the west there, near the coast of, well, in southeastern parts of Asia. I know of the Indian Ocean, what appears to be a very moist environment over that region too. You can just about see what's left of Ashobar over the desert areas, and surprised it survived for so long with there still being a cloud there. What's Marcel showing us?
Google Earth data of Carlos.
So I see. And again, you can see it there, very close to the coast of Mexico. And,
Wait.
Yeah.
With clouds.
And I can say that the latest update has come out actually, and the tropical storm watch has been extended, and no more pronunciation headaches for me now, because it's gone from Acapulco to Punta Oh, I can't even get that one right. Punta San Telmo now. Tropical storm watch in effect for that whole area now. I'm not quite sure how large an area that is, but I'll find out when I look at the graphic. Is that the latest update? No. As soon as the new graphic comes out, I'll show it, but the new one has not yet come out. But the tropical storm watch has been extended towards the northwest, as expected, because the storm is going to affect that area, and it appears rather likely, as Marcel showed not so long ago. There's the tropical storm wind probability in the next 5 days, where you can see, what is that, 40% chance along much of the coast there, 50% for one little area around here. So I expect the watch zone might have been extended that far, maybe. I don't know, actually, because it is only supposed to be within the next 48 hours, isn't it, the watch? Let's go back to that and see if it's updated. It might take a little while. Doesn't take 1 second to draw a graphic. I've got experience of that. Craig, what do you think about Carlos? How strong do you think it will end up? Can you hear me? Maybe not. Or you're overlaid. Who knows? Marcel, what do you think?
What?
Carlos's peak intensity. How strong do you think it would be?
1. Category 1.
Category 1. Well, that's what they're saying, isn't it? And yeah, with that increasing wind shear trend, I don't know whether that will continue or not, but yeah.
But we will never know. Maybe it also can be a category 2 or 3, because if you look at blank, you see it when it was a category 2, it also strengthenings to category 4 again. So you never know.
Certainly exceeded expectations, didn't it? And some might say that Andres did the same as well. So we'll be looking out for that, and it may be possible that we might see some hurricane warnings out of this as time goes on. It depends how close to the coast the storm gets. But at the moment, we're looking at a possible paralleling of the coast of Mexico, and then either making landfall on the southern tip of the Baja California Peninsula, or just tucking in the Gulf there. Is it the Gulf of California, I think? Something like that, and then it moves, and then it will move towards the northwest, and I expect dry air will take advantage of that very quickly indeed. But the latest update, tropical storm watches.
Okay.
Oh.
What happened?
As I was saying.
We just lost Nathan.
As I was saying before I pressed the wrong button, tropical storm watches extended.
You weren't.
No, what? I was trying. No. I was trying to refresh the NHC page, and I accidentally refreshed the Hangout instead. Obviously knocking me off.
Alton.
Yeah. So let me reiterate, the watch has been extended. It's in effect from Acapulco, Mexico to Punta San Telmo. Initially it was from Acapulco to Zihuatanejo.
Yep.
Are you guys still got the giggles over that? Yeah.
A bit, yeah.
No.
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
No,
For
it's just
the bloopers reel at the end of the year or something.
just
Yeah.
was giggling about the pronunciation.
Mm. Oh, that's just... Listen, I don't speak Spanish. Right?
Maybe wrong.
I don't. It's just like Marcel trying to learn Chinese or Korean.
Don't do that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, you know.
No, not really. Don't say that in front of Verona.
Well, that's another matter entirely that I think we should keep out of this.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So let me see if the NHC have
Save us
anything
all.
else to offer us. The center of Tropical Storm Carlos was located near 14.7 north, 100.6 west, so very slight movement. Currently stationary. Only a slow movement to the west-northwest is expected over the next couple of days. Maximum sustained winds remain near 60 miles per hour with higher gusts. Expected to become a hurricane by Sunday. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 80 miles or 130 kilometers from the center. Estimated minimum central pressure 997 millibars, 29.44 inches. Hazards: tropical storm conditions possible within the watch area by Saturday night. Locally heavy rains beginning to spread over portions of the southern coast of Mexico, particularly in the states of Oaxaca and Guerrero, and will continue to affect these areas during the next couple of days. Swells associated with Carlos will affect the coast of southern Mexico also during the next few days. These swells could cause life-threatening surf and rip currents, of course. Please consult products from your local weather office. Of course, I keep a little bit of an eye on the Mexican weather service as well, but it's in Spanish, like. It doesn't crash my computer either.
Can we cyclone tropical? I just think that might mean tropical cyclone.
Just looking at this to see if there's anything we can gain from these. That's like a track forecast.
Nathan?
Yeah.
At the chat.
Oh, I see. Marcel, it appears it's time for you to leave us, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Well,
you're not only afraid of it.
Well, I hope you have a very good evening.
Evening. Yeah. You too. Bye, Craig. Bye, Nathan.
Have a good evening, Marcel, and thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Excellent. We'll see you later. Marcel's left us. Craig, it's you and myself, which might mean you can get more of a word in edgeways, maybe. Just because I try to invite you in the conversation, connection isn't top notch, but it seems to be okay at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Carlos? Anything?
Well, it's going through the side. It's trying to make up its mind the worst size and how big it's going to be, because it went quite large and then it going small, and going large again. I think that was it, trying to start its stalling sequence. I'm not really sure, but I think that's what really was it.
Well, I can't. Well, you broke up a lot during that, but yes, it's still stationary at this point, not moving much. Though I do detect a little bit of, was it westward movement perhaps, or slight northward movement if we look at the latest imagery. Welcome back, Daniel, by the way. I'd wondered where he'd got to.
Hello.
Yeah,
it crashed.
It crashed.
Yeah, the app.
Oh.
Very good.
Shocking.
Done this about 100 times since I started doing these hangouts.
Well, I really applaud your patience.
Thanks.
And you know something absolutely hilarious.
I'm not the most patient person.
I know you're not, Daniel. I know you're not. Craig, yes. Yeah, Daniel missed something hilarious. He'll get to know what it is later on. But Tropical Storm Watch extended northwestward. That's the latest information. That's the headline this evening. Tropical Storm Watch in effect from Acapulco to Punta San Telmo in Mexico now. And I'm still waiting for the latest tracking chart. There it is. So yeah, quite a large swathe actually. And there the NHC predicting possibly continuation of that very slight northward movement for the next 12 hours and then movement towards the northwest. And, well, before we had 3 hurricane dots, now we've only got 2. I wonder whether the possibility of hurricane state is slowly fading a little bit. But 60 miles per hour, not too far from hurricane status. But it's, of course, welcome news along the coast of Mexico that hurricane conditions are becoming less likely with every passing update. But, of course, we may still see tropical storm conditions along the coast of Mexico there, and everything else that comes with it that I read out not so long ago. Well, we're 10 minutes from the end of the show. I wonder whether anyone's got anything else to talk about. It doesn't have to be related to storms, just to...
What did I miss? I heard you talk, you and Craig.
Oh, you didn't miss very much.
Alright.
No,
Just missed the update.
Nathan got the wrong button and went all the...
Yeah.
Pardon, I didn't hear that.
I bet you didn't. I'm sorry, Craig. You really glitched up on the mic. I'll translate from Scottish to English. I pressed the wrong button and I was kicked out of my own Hangout.
Foolish.
That's
Oh,
true. Blimey.
I've done that once.
Yeah, indeed. So a tornado warning still in effect for an area towards the southeast of Kansas. If I can see where, then I'll let you know, but it's not coming up on this one, where it usually does. But yeah, towards the southeast there, if you can identify where that is, then let me see if I can see the locations. Takes ages to load though. But yeah, you can also see that tornado watch. So, sorry, Craig?
Careful, Nathan, you might press the wrong button.
No, I won't.
Okay, that's good.
So there it is, a tornado warning. It's like a rainbow in that county there. Let's see if it says on here. There we are. Labette County. Rainbow in Labette County at the moment. Because there's a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, flash flood watch, and a flood warning in the same county. In parts of it, at least. So that's where we have a tornado warning at this time. Radar imagery, actually, local radar. Let's see if we can see it. There it is. Just on the very edge of that radar scope there. Whether we could get that to animate. Any questions or comments for us, then please let us know and we'll do our best to reply. And there you are, you can see how that's been progressing in the last few frames. Certainly looks like a potent thunderstorm.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
When will Here Today Storm Tomorrow be returning?
I'm not sure it will.
Never.
Just,
oh well.
Well, I wouldn't rule it out completely, but with the resources I have at the moment, I don't think I could at this time. I don't think it's, frankly, worth it really.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, we're going to do it instead in live updates and in.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that I'm not always able to record my things for it.
Indeed, but all you have to do is ask. I'll do my best to produce the answer or produce the content, whichever one you're asking for. I aim to please. Okay, let's go back to the map. See if anything else of note is happening right now. Not really. Just that the severe thunderstorm watch is in Indiana as well. Was it there before as well? I don't think it was. But certainly it is now.
No, that's a new one, I think.
Yeah, and you can see some severe thunderstorm warnings popping up in some places in Texas near those tornado watches, so possible tornado warnings soon. Parts of Florida, parts of Georgia, if they are indeed those warnings. I'm not entirely sure because it's very small, a pixel or two on the map. I think the ones in New Jersey and Pennsylvania are heat advisory still, but I'll have a look anyway. There is a severe thunderstorm warning off towards the northeast though, southwest of Williamsport, east of State College, northwest of Harrisburg. But yeah, Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Trenton, those areas, and heat advisories because it's rather hot there today. Highs in the 90s as far as I know. for the record,
F1.
Daniel, we reached a high of 80 here today in Fahrenheit.
Yay!
They're going through 90s, so good lord.
God help us.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's not unprecedented, I'm sure, but pretty hot over there. But you know, the UK, we're a very moderate place, aren't we? When it comes to weather, we don't get an extreme of anything really.
Just extreme overreactions when it snows.
Well, that's another matter entirely, isn't it? And when it's hot, I don't know whether this is the case the world over, but as soon as the sun comes out, the sun comes out, it's a mildly warm day, highs in the upper 60s. Everyone is out, some of them topless, all basking in the sun. Everyone takes to the beach. It's outrageous.
Well, you mean
It's like
the
all
bloody
idiots
black
and
top?
come out under their arms.
So you were talking over each other there, guys.
If you're immune Wednesday, you end up getting it's going to be a warm day, and you get bad sunburn back and neck.
I am not actually sure what you said. Sorry,
He said
Craig.
something about sunburn
The connection is
Yes.
really, really poor, Craig, I'm
on
afraid.
the back of your neck.
Oh, yes, Craig got it. Yes, he told me that the other day.
Yeah.
How did you read that, Daniel? I didn't hear that.
I've got good hearing.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel's pretty clever now.
Right.
No, I'm not being rude. His audio must have been pretty clear there.
Well, there we are. Well, hey, we're coming towards the end of the show. I don't know if anyone has any final comments before we wrap up, I suppose.
So,
I suppose not. Well, stay in touch with Force 13 on our usual mediums, Facebook and Twitter, the best places to be at the moment. Search Force 13, all in text on those, at Force 13 on Twitter. There's going to be some new announcements coming up in the near future, so look forward to those, because things are going to get pretty interesting on Force 13 over the course of this year, and I hope you look forward to it with the same enthusiasm and excitement as we do here on the team. Until next time, that's all from ourselves. Myself, Nathan, Daniel, Craig, and from Marcel, who left us earlier. We'll see you again soon.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Yeah. Goodbye. And we'll do any more
They're all like
updates
60 each.
on Carlos as and when it's required on the 413 channel. You want me to think. See you again soon.